Suicide in New Zealand is down according to the government stats. That's a really good thing. But what does that mean for Pasifika? Talofa lava, warm Pacific greetings. Welcome to Pacifically Correct. Team, today I want to tackle an issue which is very sensitive, and it's the whole area of suicide. And as Pasifika, we've been struggling with this for a few years. Now, I want to go back to the statistics that the government brought out, which are really good. The fact is that over the last couple of years, statistics have dropped slightly in the area of suicide. But one of the issues that I noticed, and I'm really concerned about, is when I drilled down, it went down for all ethnicity groups except for Pacific. Even Māori went down, but Pacific went up slightly. So it is still an issue for us. And I just want to give you some tips. Those of you who know me well know that I came from a policing background, spent 25 years in the police. The last 15 years I worked with young gangs. So I got a little bit savvy, I guess, in that area of what the indicators, what the pressures and what the influences are. And I'm going to share with you the theory of what it was that we were doing back in the day that sort of catapulted us in stardom. And I want to give you these tools because it's easy for us as parents to overlook these things and not realize that our kids are struggling. So I'm going to move through this very, very quickly, but feel free to watch this as many times as you need to for the sake of our children. So let's kick off. I need to explain to you first of all that there are 4 major influences on our young people, and I'm going to try and illustrate with this particular stool. Right. So with this stool, these 4 legs hold the stage. First one is family. Second is the 2 E's, education and employment. Third are the 3 C's, community, culture and church. And the last one is friends, peers. Not to be mistaken with beers, but that also influences our young people if you're not careful. In each of these 4 spheres, there are 3 things that our young people need. They need a pathway to adulthood, they need transition points to indicate they're growing, and they need signposts to point them in the right direction. So let me give you an example. When it comes to the E, education, the transition points is when if you're rich, back in the day you'd go to kindergarten. If you weren't like me, you just go to primary school, then to intermediate school, then to secondary school, and then off to work or onto university if that was what you chose. Those are transition points. In each of those spheres, or each of those steps, there would be somebody there we would consider a signpost, like a teacher, a coach, somebody who took a little interest in you and says, hey, you're heading in the right direction. So signposts are important. Now, even in family, we have different transition points. So you don't give the keys to your car to a 5-year-old, you give it to them as they get older. These are really, really important. So let's go back now to those 4 pillars that a young person builds their life. Now, if, for example, the family falls apart, we've got an issue because now we only have 3 legs to the stool. And so you can't put any pressure when the family collapses. And back in the day when I was interviewing kids saying, hey, what's things like at home? And their eyes will start to water and their lip will start to shake and they go, oh, shut up. You know, okay, it's a no-go zone. Talk about something else, you know. Let's go to the E's. How are you doing at school? Oh, teacher hates me. Why does teacher hate you? Oh, she wanted me to sleep with her and I wouldn't. And then you go and do the investigation. Sure enough, a lot of sleeping going on, but it's just them in class. But it really sounds cool the way they've explained it. So they've lost 2 legs. Now, if you could imagine someone trying to balance on this stool with only 2 legs. And then, of course, you go into the 3rd leg, which is the community, culture, and church. Maybe they're not going to church. But with culture, they think, you know, we're from the United States of Otara. Or, that's an identity crisis. When it comes to community rules, they're breaking them. You know, they're smoking dope or they're stealing. So that 3rd leg is gone as well. Now, of course, the 4th leg being friends, you know the old story. It's hard to soar with eagles if you hang out with turkeys. You've got to choose their friends carefully with them. Now, here's where it all falls apart. If, for example, the family in the mind of the young person sucks, well, they've got 3 legs left. If they're failing at school, they've got 2 legs left. If they're breaking the rules in the community, they've got 1 leg left. At that stage where there's only 1 leg, which is all about peers, friends, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, husband, wife, if that last leg goes, if the relationship breaks apart, they've got no legs to stand on. And that was the contributing factor as to why kids went down that suicide line. So, why is that important? Well, let me explain to you, especially now with the development of the gangs, especially with the introduction of the gangs that are coming from Australia, all the 501s that are being returned home. Our kids have always been susceptible to the gangs. Why? Because the gangs provide those 4 pillars. They say, oh, you want whānau? We can be your whānau. Oh, you want education? We can make you streetwise. Oh, you want employment? You can sell for us. You want a community to belong to? We've got that. You want a culture? We've got that too. We can be your friends. Now, the transition point is, if you want to join us, you're going to have to go do something stupid. And doing something stupid allows you to put this patch on your back that says you were a boy, but now you're a man. For Pacific Island Māori, this is so inviting, especially when everything else is falling apart. So, in finishing, it's important for us as parents to look at our children and analyse those 4 pillars that they build their life on. If the marriage is putting stress on the kids, work on the marriage. If your parenting is putting stress on the kid, work on your parenting. At least you could do the bits and pieces with the whānau. If they're struggling at school, find out why they're struggling at school. Go and see that teacher that they say, the teacher hates me. Find out why. Get that leg strengthened. And if they're breaking rules in the community, we as parents are responsible for them. We've got to make sure that we do our parenting correctly. And again, I say with the friends, when I used to talk to these kids and say, who do you hang out with? They go, oh, with Charlie Brown. And you mean Charlie Brown that just got out for doing 3 months in prison? And they go, yeah, he's a good guy. It's really important that they need to choose their friends carefully, and you need as parents to exercise a little bit of authority there if you love your kids enough. So team, those are the contributing factors to why our kids not only go to the gangs, but why suicide surrounds our Pacific people. Is when those 4 legs fall apart, our people go down that road. I hope that's helpful, and I hope that you have an opportunity to stop and analyse your kids. Sit down and start talking to them. Ask them these questions about those 4 areas, and then start to work on them. Because as parents, that's our responsibility, to raise our kids in the way of the Lord. Having said that, I'll be praying for our Pasifika people, especially in this whole area of suicide. Join me too. Thank you so much. Whawhatae lava. Thanks for your time.